This is Viewpoint with Chris Pierce. Today's program has been underwritten by Body Auto Real Estate, providing personal and professional real estate service since 1987. For all your real estate needs, call Diane Body Auto at 402-690-4769. Linda McDermott with Fricke & Associates is an independent insurance representative helping you with personal and business insurance as well as your long-term care, life, health, and retirement needs. Come join the conversation at PoliticalInsidersReport.com, Nebraska's source for local politics.
Welcome to Viewpoint with Chris Pierce. I'm Michael Severe. I'll be your guest host for the next 2 weeks as we present discussions and debates with the candidates for Omaha City Council and Omaha Mayor. All general election candidates were invited to be a part of the Viewpoint debate series. Our questions for the candidates were generated from citizens around Omaha, and they were compiled by a committee consisting of Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. The candidates have not had a chance to see the questions and no input on their content. We will continue our discussion of Omaha City Council District 7. The candidates are Aimee, Melton, and Tim Lonergan. We're happy they're both here this morning for our debate. The candidates were provided with debate format prior to today's show, and this is how it will work. Flip the coin to see which person would go first. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to have an opening statement. Then the candidate receiving the question will have 1 minute for answer. His opponent will have 45 seconds for rebuttal, and then a return for 30-second response. The process will rotate between candidates. Each candidate will also have a chance to ask his opponent a different question, and you have 2 minutes to answer after that question has been asked. Each candidate will also receive 2 minutes for a closing statement. Let's start with your 1 minute opening statement.
Thank you. Well, my name is Tim Lonergan, and I'm a candidate for the Omaha City Council District Seat 7. Now, briefly, I'm a pro-life candidate, Catholic, and 100% Nebraskan and Republican. I am a husband to a beautiful wife of 25 years, and I've lived in my district for over 20 years, and I plan to continue to raise my 7 children in Maple Village. I'm a proud veteran of the United States Coast Guard, United States Navy, serving my country for over 21 years. I learned the value of civic duty while earning my Eagle Boy Scout badge many years ago. I currently run my own small business, Lonergan Lawn Care, and I'm a past member of the Metropolitan Community College Board of Governors. As your next city council member, Tim Lonergan will work to reduce taxes, spending in our city government, and our city needs to tighten its belts, just like any other Omaha family that I've done in the last 4 years, and this is going to be accomplished by an equal reduction of city government.
And you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Thank you. My name is Aimee Melton. I'm running for City Council in District 7. I want to thank Viewpoint Television and Michael Severe for this opportunity. I also want to thank all of the people viewing this forum for caring enough about our city to get informed about the candidates and the issues in the city of Omaha. Like you, I am a concerned citizen of Omaha. I'm a wife, I'm a mother of 3, a taxpayer, and a former prosecutor. And I decided to run for city council because Omaha is facing serious challenges, and I believe I have the professional and life experience to be balanced and a well-reasoned leader for our district. I understand the needs of hardworking parents struggling to provide for their children. Prior to marrying my husband, Scott, I found myself as a single mother with 2 children. I finished my undergraduate degree at UNO and then attended Creighton University School of Law. I worked 2 jobs with 2 kids while going to school full-time. Life sometimes presents challenges, but those challenges can be overcome with hard work and determination, and these are the same principles I will maintain as your city councilwoman.
Thank you. This will be 1 minute to you, Tim. The City of Omaha recently ratified the city firefighters contract that will expire in 2014. It's less than 2 years. Given the long run it took to get the last contract, when do you see the new contract negotiations beginning, and what will be the major issues for the next contract in your opinion?
Well, I believe that it took about a year, it seems like, to get that last contract. So I would assume sometime in January 2014, we would have to sit down with whoever the mayor is at that time, and hopefully the mayor will be back in the negotiation part of the contract. I would like to give that back to the mayor, where it's supposed to be, regardless of how it happened last time. So I think about 6 months prior to the contract expiring. Obviously, some of the contract issues are going to be the same as this time. 4 men on a truck, pension spiking, which was eliminated in this last contract that was negotiated by Jim Suttle. So the same issue is going to be there. It's going to be retirement, how much it's going to cost, and is it going to cost taxpayer when we're done?
And you have 45 seconds for that.
Well, I think we need to start negotiating these contracts as soon as possible. The fire union contract, or the police union contract is gonna come up first, and then the fire union contract in 2014. And the issues we have is we have an unfunded pension liability of approximately $680 million. One of the concerns I also have is the rate of return that's set at 8% by the pension board. Moody's says it should be set at about 5.5%. And if we don't adjust that, our actual unfunded liability could be $1.2 billion. It's going to be very important that we work on reducing staffing issues, and that there be greater contributions to both healthcare and pension funds by the employees.
You have 30 seconds to respond.
Well, I agree that we need to start as soon as possible, but there's other issues in the city that need to talk about. The question was dealing with the firefighters contract. There's no question about the police contract other than the police auditor. So the contract, yeah, it's going to be, Gene Stothard, the contract that was passed, has eliminated some of the deficit, and I support that. I think that's a wonderful first step, and there's going to be more steps to come.
We have a minute for this question. Mecca manages entertainment venues owned by the city of Omaha. TD Ameritrade, CenturyLink. Ameritrade Park costs $128 million. They only have 2 contract tenants, Creighton University and the College World Series. Both celebrated the Big Sky Festival and Omaha Nighthawks. Both failed. What can the city council do to specifically bring more events and long-term tenants to Ameritrade Park and CenturyLink Center?
Well, I think what we first need to do is we need to come up with a marketing plan for our city. We need to hire some consultants. We need to see what surrounding cities have done, such as Kansas City. They've done some great things in their city to attract people from surrounding areas. We need to make Omaha a destination city. And we can even start with a destination city for a weekend getaway. And we can do that by looking to some of the other cities. I think Mecca has done a great job, and we've brought a lot of things into the CenturyLink Center. And I think we should just expound on that and really just advertise the tourism, advertise all the great things about Omaha with the zoo, CenturyLink, and TD Ameritrade.
45 seconds.
Well, I think with the baseball field specifically, I think we should go after a AAA team like the Solid Dogs. The owner of the Chicago Cubs is a local resident here in town. Maybe he could help out by getting us some kind of baseball team to have a permanent tenant like the Salt Dogs. If you go to a Salt Dogs game, they're very well attended. It brings in revenue, tax dollars when people go buy the hot dogs and the concessions. So I think that would be something we could do as a city to try to encourage businesses to invest in a baseball team. But certainly, try to get a hockey tenant or more concerts and that, and convince more people to have conventions. You could lower the rate. So I see I'm out of time.
You're okay. 30 seconds response.
Well, I agree with Mr. Lonergan. I think we need to encourage people to come to Omaha. We need to get more concerts in and encourage people to travel in from Des Moines, Kansas City, and even come in from other cities in Nebraska. And I think that we can do that, and I think Mecca has actually done a pretty good job in attracting people. And if we have a marketing plan, we could do better.
The next question, we'll have a minute to answer it. Largest obstacle for job seekers in North Omaha is getting to those jobs in West Omaha. Omaha public transportation system isn't the best. What does the city of Omaha need to do to close that transportation gap for those Omahans who do want jobs but can't get to them?
Well, you're right. Our MAT system is not the best. As I travel through my life in the military, Baltimore, bigger cities have way better public transit systems. However, with that said, I think that Metro bus system could expand their service out to Village Point, farther north and south on 108th Street to get to those jobs. So with that, I think they need to improve on their services, and the city needs to step up and hopefully help them get that bus service there so those people in North Omaha and South Omaha can get to those jobs out west.
Yeah, 45 seconds.
We do need to make sure that our public transportation system is accessible to all of the citizens of Omaha. And, the problem is right now, it's not. And even when it is, it takes so long for somebody to get all the way from North Omaha to get up to West Omaha, it's not necessarily feasible. And you see a lot of the buses driving around empty. We really need to get somebody in there that can plan the routes, perhaps get more buses, and even work with some of the surrounding communities so that we can go even into Ralston or perhaps into areas of Sarpy County. Transportation and public transportation is very important to all the cities of Omaha, and it'll be very important for people who are looking for jobs that don't have the transportation to get to where the jobs are.
30-second response.
Well, once again, I would agree with Aimee that the buses are completely empty. When I was in high school going to Central, I had to take a bus to aren't people using the buses? Is it for service? Is it they're too expensive? What is that? And figure out what can get people to use the bus.
Question to you now, 1 minute. City Council approved tax incremental financing, or TIF, for TMA Trade Building out there at 108th and Dodge. Great amount of controversy, mainly on what we call the neighborhood blighted. And they also questioned the true purpose of the use of TIF. Some state legislators felt the city of Omaha misused it. Do you feel the city of Omaha is carelessly using TIF and not for its intended purposes?
Well, I do think TIF, and for any of you who aren't aware of what TIF is, it's a tax incremental financing. It's been around for about 30 years. And what it was intended to do was help blighted areas. A number of areas right now in North and South Omaha are considered blighted areas. Unfortunately, I think what's happened is a lot of citizens of Omaha have seen that TIF has been used for some private sector financing, where the building of those infrastructures would have been done anyway. And actually, per state statute, according to our statute, there's supposed to be a cost-benefit analysis that's done. And I think the city council, when they are reviewing these TIF projects, needs to make sure that there is a thorough cost-benefit analysis that is being done, and they need to review that and make sure that the people that are taking advantage of that wouldn't be doing it but for developing in a blighted area.
45 seconds.
Well, I don't think the area on 114th and Dodge is blighted. So I work in that area. I play baseball games in that area. So I think the city council probably overstepped its bounds a little bit to make it blighted. Why did they do that? I think we need to ask the city council members why they would do that for a business that may have would have built there anyway.
Maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah. Again, I just think we need to make sure that there's a cost benefit and that the taxpayers of Omaha are benefiting from any TIF financed projects. And I do think we have benefited. I think there was TIF financing that was used for part of the Exarban. And something like Exarban brings people in. We can go back to when we were talking about bringing people in and what could Mecca do. So a lot of those projects are good for Omaha. But we just need to make sure we are reviewing and that we're reviewing those plans to make sure that it is good for Omaha and that they are in a blighted area and will be doing a lot of good for Omaha.
With all the large businesses out there, small businesses employ a lot of people. What do you see as the role of the city of Omaha supporting these new small businesses?
Well, first of all, I think they should stop over-regulation small businesses. They would do that. I work for a private contractor that does construction, and he spends hours and days trying to get permits to do. He had to redo signs, and he had to have a special permit to be a sign. You had to be a sign person to take down the sign. And all we're doing is replacing light bulbs. And you had to pay a fee for that. That unburdens them on a small business. So I think we need to reduce those and make it more streamlined in order to have small business compete and keep them moving forward.
Well, I agree. I think we need an overhaul in our city planning department. I really do. Our city planning department should be customer friendly. The customers of the city planning department are businesses that are providing jobs, creating more jobs for the citizens of Omaha. And right now, permitting, I've been told by some developers, permitting has gotten a little bit better since the new computer system was implemented, but there's still unrealistic permits that are required. If you have a person that's a handyman trying to do odd jobs to make extra money for his family, he's required to go get a permit if he's going to fix his deck if it costs over $400. I mean, they're unreasonable regulations that our city planning department is requiring on both small business owners, such as what Mr. Lonergan was talking about, and also other businesses. So we're basically turning business away.
30 seconds. Respond to it.
I think between the two of us pretty much summed it up, so let's move forward.
That's fine. One of the biggest things going on in the city over the next 20 years would be combined sewer separation. MUD put out a fee out there for folks to pay. It's going to continue to climb. What do you think the city can do to protect seniors and other folks on fixed income against those rising costs of the combined sewer operation?
I'm very concerned with the combined sewer operation, but of course it was mandated by the EPA. There's no turning back now. We're going to have to do this. What concerns me is Kansas City got a 25-year deal, and Omaha said, no, we'll go ahead and take the 15-year deal and we'll pay it back in 15 years. That's costing each one of the taxpayers in Omaha a lot more money because we have to pay it back in a shorter period of time. I think what we need to do, I think we can partner up with the state We can also partner up with the Papio, Missouri NRD. We need to see if there's some additional federal funding that we could use in order to finish this mandated EPA sewer project.
Well, I think we could probably add some of the cost, to keep the cost away from our senior citizens and our fixed income, add that to the homestead exemption on the property tax. That would isolate them and protect them, so if it would start rising, and if all the politicians couldn't keep it from rising and pay for it, at least those on fixed incomes, if you added it to their homestead exemption on their property tax, they would be shielded.
It was a, well, actually, it's 30 seconds, I'm sorry. I missed your 30-second response to what he said.
Well, I agree with Tim. I think there are things that we could look into, at least to protect senior citizens on fixed incomes. I know they're being taxed even now on their Social Security, which we can't do anything about with the city of Omaha. But we really do need to take steps to make sure that all the citizens, even the hardworking families, are somewhat protected from these increasing costs. Initially, it was $50, but there's an increase. I've also been told that this sewer project is going to cost us millions more than we anticipated, and it could go up to $150. So we need to think about the hardworking families as well.
You have your opportunity to ask the question, Tim.
Mr. Lonergan, according to the NADC and the Omaha World Herald, you've accepted $25,000 from the firefighters union. And the Omaha World Herald quoted Steve LeClaire stating on election night, "We make a pretty good team, don't we?" I'm just wondering, if you're elected to city council, will you recuse yourself from negotiations regarding the fire union contract or any contracts in regards to the fire union?
No, I will not. And thank you for the question, by the way. It was perfect. I practiced it, so thanks. No, I won't.
2 minutes, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. I accepted the $25,000 just as if you like it, we could go and do donor lists and see who donated to you and to me. I'm not going to get into that battery. Prior city council candidates have taken money from the fire unions and voted for their contract. And so I'm not ashamed to take their money. And what he meant by a good team, we have a good relationship. And I will continue to work with them and work for a good contract. Everything in that contract will be on the table in 2014.
You have a chance in 1 minute about it.
Well, I can just say, actually, every one of my donors has been a concerned citizen of Omaha. The average donation that I've had has been $300 from multiple people. So I could pledge that anybody, I've accepted a donation of over $5,000, that I would recuse myself from any contract that would come in front of the city council if one came in front from one of my donors. I'm just wondering if taking 98% of your total donations, if you feel that, I'm concerned that you don't feel like there would be a conflict, or that you feel like you would owe the fire union anything for that exceptionally large donation.
You can have part of our time if you'd like to.
Sure. So one of our things is I would like to repeal the restaurant tax. I believe that's something you'd like to do. And Michael Simmons gave you $13,000, so you wouldn't. So would you stop that then? Say I will accept the restaurant tax and recuse myself from that debate?
Well, actually, the restaurant tax, Mike Simmons has actually sold all of his restaurants. He's actually retired now.
Mm-hmm.
And the restaurant owners aren't affected by the tax. The people that go to the restaurants and purchase the food are the ones that pay the tax. And so Mr. Simmons actually was a friend since childhood. I grew up with his daughter. We became best friends at the age of 14 when we went to Marion. So he donated to my campaign because he cares about Omaha and believes in me. But if there was a contract that came up that Mike Simmons was a part of, I would recuse myself from that vote.
Thank you. You now have a chance to ask Aimee.
Well, it's kind of on the same line. Let me know if you believe that Chuck Sigerson was a good city council member, yes or no. And if he was, then why everybody's focusing on this contract? And 8 years ago, it was 100% vote by Mike Fahey that got us into this pension fund, and Chuck Sigerson voted for it. And that's one of your biggest supporters.
Chuck Sigerson and his wife, Liz, are two of my biggest supporters. I really liked Chuck's responsiveness to the citizens of our district. He always listened to the people of our district. Unfortunately, I'm not able to ask Mr. Sigerson exactly what his thoughts were behind that contract, because as you know, Mr. Sigerson suffered from a stroke. And at this point in time, communication is somewhat difficult for for Mr. Segerson. So unfortunately, I'm not able to have him explain exactly why he voted the way he did. I know that I have spoken with other city council members who voted for that contract and were against it, and they said they regret it. I can tell you that I will negotiate a much tougher contract because I will be representing the taxpayers of Omaha. I will be representing the voters in District 7 who have told me that they've had enough and they do not want to see their property tax go up, and they do not want to see another tax in order to pay off the unfunded pension liability that's been created by these contracts.
You have a minute to respond.
Well, I feel that the contract that Jim Suttle got through the city council is helping with that. And I would have voted for that. And I would like to know if you would have voted for that.
I think Jim Suttle made some great progress. Again, I think now you're asking me 2 questions.
Well, he only gets a minute back, so if you want to take 30 seconds to answer it, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think the contract needed to go farther. We spent a lot of money going to the CIR with the staffing issue, and the city ended up winning on that issue. The CIR said staffing is a managerial, that management should have control over the staffing. Then we went and contracted the staffing back out. And I think that the staffing issue is one of my biggest concerns that I have for this contract, because it's costing the taxpayers of Omaha so much money. There is only so much money. I think firefighters do an incredible service for our community. I guess my time is up.
Let me we'll try to get one more question before we give you guys closing statements.
We're not going to do annexation?
Well, we're getting to right now. One more question before we do that. Reversal of Nebraska legislature. First of all, the city council had a $50 bill tax for folks who didn't live here coming in Omaha. The legislature reversed that. Do you believe the state overstepped its bounds in creating a law to reverse the council's decision?
Well, no, I believe what the council did was actually taxation without representation. I think the founding fathers of our country, that's why we succeeded and became a nation. And so I believe that the legislature did the right thing. We should not be taxing people that do not have the right to vote for us.
45 seconds.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we disagree on a few things, Aimee, but we agree on about 90% of them. But yeah, they don't live in the city. We shouldn't oversee our boundaries and tax someone that does not live in the city, that can't vote or have any say in the political process.
If you want to say anything else, I have 30 seconds.
No, I agree with the state legislature.
You have 2 minutes to do your closing. And
Well, again, I would like to thank everyone here, and I would like to thank everyone watching for this opportunity. The city currently faces severe budget issues, and current problems must be addressed before moving forward with other projects. The primary reasons I am running for city council: taxes and crime. We have too much of both. The good people of Omaha cannot afford one more property tax increase. That's what I have been told as I go door to door and I listen to the people of my district. People also want to feel safe in their neighborhoods and in their homes. And when they turn on the news and they hear about a different homicide or shooting, they're not feeling safe. We need to reduce regulations, and we need to encourage businesses to create more jobs. I want to give citizens the opportunity to provide more input in government decisions. I will listen to the people in my district, and as our former councilman Chuck Segerson did, and did so well. Omaha offers a lot of opportunity, and I look forward to serving my district and all of the people of Omaha. I am a former prosecutor, and I do think I have some real solutions, and I also think I know how to fight for people, and that's what I would like to do. I will fight for the taxpayers of Omaha to make sure that our community is growing and that we have a better place for our children. So I do hope to earn your vote on May 14th.
You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Well, as your next city council member, Tim Lonergan will work to reduce taxes and spending in our city government. Our city needs to tighten their belts, just like any Omaha business like mine and families in the city of Omaha. And this can be accomplished by an equal reduction of budgets at all levels of city government. It will also make city government more open to all the people of Omaha. And no more secret deals on wage increases by the current mayor. And I want to fight to let the citizens know about the budget process. I will promote job creation and economic growth by creating more friendly business environment, and this can be accomplished by eliminating undue regulations. As a small business owner myself, I will fight to protect any small business. And finally, I will oppose any new property or city tax increases, and also fight to reduce taxes. And I have a record of voting against tax increases. I'm the only candidate that's ever voted against a tax increase running for city council today. While I served on the Metro Community College Board, I never voted to raise the citizens of Omaha's property taxes. So I will work with the entire city to keep our city moving forward into the future. And my promise to the citizens of Omaha, I will work as hard for them as I do for my family. And I appreciate their vote on May 14th. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Tim Lonergan and Aimee Melton for being with us today. To watch our discussion with Tim and Aimee on your computer or mobile device, just log on to our website at #viewpoint. You can find it all there at .org as well. When we come back, we'll change our focus from City Council District 7 to the Omaha's mayor's race. We'll be right back.
50 years!
The Boys and Girls Club of the Midlands
I've been helping kids like me. Like me. Like us. For just $30 a year, I can get
a healthy meal,
homework help,
exercise,
a safe place to stay after school every day. At one of our 8 clubs. My name is Janelle.
And I am the Boys and Girls Club.
The Boys and Girls Club. We are the Boys and Girls Club!
like us on Facebook at BGC Midlands. Cox will donate $1 to the Boys and Girls Club.
My son, the Cub Scout, helped raise money to make camping safer.
My son, the Cub Scout, stood up to the school bully.
My son, the Cub Scout, volunteers at the homeless shelter.
My sons, the Boy Scouts, helped clean up after the devastating flood.
My son, the Eagle Scout, helped save a man's life.
My sons, the Eagle Scouts, are defending our nation.
My son, the Eagle Scout, became a doctor,
civil engineer,
police chief,
wonderful husband and father,
state senator,
JoinScouting2012.org.
For 45 years, Family Housing Advisory Services has been improving quality of life by helping people achieve housing and financial stability. FAS prevents homelessness, educates homeowners, provides foreclosure prevention options, develops financially wise consumers, offers affordable mortgage lending options, eliminates housing discrimination, and reduces poverty. Programs and services include homebuyer education, tenant services, financial management, tax assistance, homeowner finance, and fair housing. For more information, call 402-934-7921.
Do you know about 211? It's help for an elderly relative or a troubled teen, family counseling, or job training. Instead of hunting for phone numbers, dial 211. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, talk to someone who will find the local information you need. United Way and its statewide partners want you to get connected and get answers. Dial 211 or go online at ne211.org.
The Midwest Ovarian Cancer Association mission is to support women diagnosed with ovarian cancer, to educate the public about the disease, and to support research. Currently, most women diagnosed with ovarian cancer have advanced disease and require prolonged medical treatment. Our goal at MOCA is to see fewer women diagnosed in advanced stages and to assure all women the availability of support and access to information. Please support these efforts by liking us on Facebook.
Welcome back to Viewpoint's 2013 Omaha City Election Debate Series. I'm Michael Severe, sitting in for Chris Pierce as we focus on the next 2 weeks of the candidates running for Omaha City Council and Mayor. We just finished our debate between the City Council District 7 candidates, Aimee Melton and Tim Lonergan. I want to thank them for participating this morning. We'll continue our discussions with Part 1, the Omaha Mayor's race. The candidates are incumbent Mayor Jim Suttle, who was elected in 2009, City Councilwoman Jean Stothard. Mr. Stothard declined the invitation, and so this morning we have Mayor Suttle. Good morning, how are you doing?
Well, it's a great morning, and thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
Well, good to see you again. This is something we've talked about before, and we'll continue to talk about, I'm sure. Contract for the fire department contract, that was negotiated normally by the mayor's office. This last time the city council took it over. In the future, what do you think should happen? Go back to the mayor's office? Or
well, definitely, it should be in the hands of the mayor's office. And perhaps this is something we ought to put in the charter and make it clear, since it's just on the basis of a city attorney ruling probably over 30 years ago that we have this thing assigned to the mayor's office by the council. But clearly the mayor ought to be negotiating that.
If you reach an impasse, should there be something that the city council could do to help out, or what happens if you reach an impasse with it?
Well, I think we have to start with that word trust. That's something that I had with the unions. I worked hard at it. It was the foundation for setting negotiations by federal law and by state law. It is to be done at the table. And to do that, the city needs to have a professional team and a unity of purpose. And that's what I think was missing in this process. We did take the council into the process. We had some 56 different briefings on every aspect of this. We got their input. We took that back to the table. We kept a running sheet of what was working and what wasn't. Somewhere in the latter parts of both the fire and the police, enough wasn't there. And the council kept wanting more and more and more, which violated, I thought, the trust factors of being at the table with the union. Because we came together, it was tough. We finally got a common checklist of what we were agreeing on. The city's professional team and the union's professional team. And we should have taken it all the way to conclusion. We did on police, but we didn't on fire management, nor on the fire contract.
Looking back at it, do you think it was a fair contract to the city, the fire?
Well, I would have to say no. I signed it because I could see something. That letter from Moody's to Mayor Mike Fahey in the fall of 2008 was my guide. It gave a list of why Moody's jerked the AAA bond rating for the city. It was very clear what we had to do step by step by step to get it back. And key in that, from my conversations with Moody's and Standard & Poor's, was you've got to get solvency on that $600 million plus problem with your fire and police pension. So I signed it because that was going to be put to rest. We now have a plan in place. Hold your nose if you like, but let's think about it. Both fire and police, we got rid of spiking. We got double-digit reductions in the benefits, unheard of in the last 30 years of the city of Omaha to have a reduction agreed to at the table by fire and police unions. That will compound itself over time, and thus is the basis for getting the solvency back into the plan. And then we raised the age for retirement. We got that back. And we began to clean up all the issues that have been festering for about 10 years with both unions. Little tiny details that were nothing more than birds under the saddle that really, really irritated both the union as well as city staff. We got rid of all those. So that's why the police contract is a good contract, and the fire contract, I signed it for that one reason, to put to bed all the controversies financially, as well as between the city and their union over how we're going to bring solvency to the fire and police pension fund.
With all that said, it's done in 2014. When do you start negotiating again, and what are the big issues you're going to take in this next contract?
You really need to start immediately, but we'll have to wait until this election is over. The new mayor and council will have to then set a schedule with the union and come back to the table. I believe very strongly in multi-year contracts. I think it's a travesty that you spend all your time, and it takes a lot of time, just to do a 1 or 2 year contract and go back and do it again. We've got so many issues to work on. So let's agree on a 5-year strategy or whatever, and do it at the table. Let's try to bring fairness to both parties, fairness for the taxpayers and fairness for the unions. We can do it, we've proven it. But it all starts with trust. But the council needs to come in and offer a trust component too, that they're willing to work within the confines of the ground rules that are being set at the table by both negotiating parties.
You've had complaints from citizens about police misconduct recently. If funding was mandated by the city charter, would you be in favor of an independent process to review citizen complaints involving city employees? If so, what kind of independent process would you like, or if not, or if not?
Well, I have always supported the police auditor concept. I did on the city council when I was there in that seat. I did as mayor. I put it in the first budget. But both of those councils took the funding away and did not approve the position. So here we are, and we have been able to look at, well, how do we go through and keep a stronger, let's say, sense of community responsibility on the shoulders of our police chief, because that's where it is right now. And I went carefully through this process to find a new police chief with three major things in mind. Number one, leadership. Number two, strong emphasis on community policing, where we gave a strong ear to what was being said and done and the conduct of the officers in the street, staying within the confines of ethics and the law. And then third, building the esprit de corps of this department. It's a young department. So it's time to mold it into the professional police department that we, the citizens, expect to see. And that's what we're on a course to do right now. We've accomplished so much with our community policing. So this incident we recently had was a big, big letdown. Big letdown for me, big letdown for the chief, a big letdown for the community, big letdown for the entire citizenry of Omaha, if you really want to stop and think about it. So I put the corrective actions where they needed to be, under the law, under the contract. That's with the chief. And I told him the same thing I've said to all the chiefs. We're going to follow the law. You do that. You're not going to have interference from my office. You're not going to have anything else get in your way. You follow the law and do what's right for the city. That's all I ask.
Would you rather have an auditor's office or, say, a citizen's council to handle those issues?
Well, I'm still open on the auditor, but we're going to have to look at some ways under state law to give it some, let's say, legal standing, because right now it would not. And I am concerned about a citizen review board in this context. If a mayor appoints a citizen review board, they're political appointees. They're citizens. They are not going to be experts in the field of personnel or labor law. So their decisions are going to all of a sudden not be probability-wise into the confines of federal law or even the Constitution of the United States of America.
So they'd have to have an attorney on the council.
Yes, but then the attorney is the one making decisions, and he or she is going to have the influence on the board, but the board doesn't have to follow that. So we need to be very careful about a citizen review board, because once it gets started, they're going to want the power, and without the proper knowledge and education of what goes on in modern day law under the Constitution, under the due process, which everybody has per the Constitution. But the Supreme Court has set some additional guidelines, the Lonergan decision and others, that have to be followed. And if you don't follow those to the letter of the law, then you've got a window to get it excused, to get it thrown out of court. And this is why the decisions that the chief was making this past recent week is so critical, because he had to follow everything to the letter of the Constitution, the Lonergan decision in the Supreme Court decades ago, the union contract, state law, then the own ethical policies of the police department. That's a pretty gigantic task. So tell me how a group of 5 or 6 citizen board members are going to be able to do that. I don't think they can.
You said why you picked this chief. Working at Channel 7, I was out many a morning at crime scenes in North Omaha and South Omaha both. Do you think we need more African-American officers working in North Omaha, more Latino or Spanish-speaking officers in South Omaha? And if you do, how do we do that?
Well, your question is maybe one that we need to break down just a little different way. Let me answer it this way. When I came into office, I knew full well what the decisions were and the court rulings as well as the consent decrees that carried on from the time of the Boyle administration when I was at City Hall back in the 1980s to present. And they weren't being followed, but no one was challenging the city on it. So what I did is we sit down and put together an internal group with Dick O'Bara, my HR, and the law department, and our union individuals. And we said, we got to do something different with this as we look at the police class and the fire class. So we engaged private parties that would give us that objectivity and took it out of the hands of what had been for decades put in the hands of police officials or fire officials. We wanted that objectivity. We also made sure we did the extra mile to recruit the minorities. And I think we did a good job if you look back at all the statistics and all the applications we had. But we did one more thing. We hired individuals to provide that special training to get people ready, if you're a minority or a female, get ready for the testing. So they got the coaching and the mentoring and the tutoring, and it was open to anybody if you wanted to volunteer. And I think that helped tremendously. So if you look at what we've done today with our recruit classes, we're starting to see the stats come up as they should. And yes, our police force, our public works, all of our departments should be reflections of the breakdown of our citizens. That's the theory that we have to find a way to achieve. It gives us the right goals in departments throughout the whole city. But how do we get there is going to take a very well thought out effort. And I challenge anybody to look at what we have done to date with these two, now 3 recruitment classes, because we are doing what the intent of these consent decrees was, and we're doing it the right way and a fair way to give opportunities to minorities and women who want to be part of the blue uniform for professional police or professional firefighters.
You talked about it in one of your campaign ads, the horrors of gun violence. Would you support a greater restriction on assault-style weapons and large capacity magazines? How would you implement this greater restriction? Or if you're not in favor of it, we do know you're in favor, what alternative can you offer if it's not a policy to be able to restrict those?
I think we need to frame the question so I can reinforce that I do agree we need to do something. But here's the way I would frame the question. You and I have rights under the Second Amendment to bear arms. That's our right. But our children also have the right to go to school without the fear of gun violence. And your family members and my family members have the right to go to the shopping mall, to the theater, walk the dog down the street to the park without the fear of gun violence also. So we've got a conflict between our rights. I think we can only solve that in this way by having the citizenry decide where is that dividing line between civilian weapons that are designed for our sport, for hunting, and for personal protection, versus military weapons, which are designed for one purpose and one purpose only. That's to kill. If we as a civil society can make that distinction, where that boundary line is, it may be a thin line, it may be a wide column, then I think we have a foundation for being able to decide how we put in place an ordinance that reflects that is the will of the people. And we would have to work this backwards. So write the draft ordinance, make sure that it's through our own due process here with our city council and public hearings and et cetera, et cetera. But write the ordinance. Then also write a companion state law that lets us go to Lincoln to the unicameral and say, we as a metropolitan class city would like to do this ordinance, but we need this enabling legislation first. That way we're in keeping with states' rights. We are in keeping with the intent of what's been done to date with the Constitution, with the Supreme Court, and we would be able to then come back and pass our ordinance, which would be the will of the people.
The other cities ever been able to do that?
Well, you're asking me, I don't think so, because I'm telling you the way I would do it. I would work it backwards.
Okay.
So this is Jim Suttle talking about my approach. And
do you believe this can be done? Do you believe that we can put an ordinance outside?
If you stop and think about it.
But not many of them would, in a way, in some people's opinion, violate a constitutional amendment.
Well, we're not violating the Constitutional Amendment. Go back to what I said. The Constitutional Amendment has to be held there. It's your right and our right to bear arms. But we also have these other rights to be free and not have violence. So the Supreme Court has already given guidelines within setting, let's say, the standards for us to follow. So we do that all the time. We're doing it right now in the unicameral with the way we have written the TIF legislation and tax credits for historical buildings and for this land banking. We've written the way we would like to do it, and then that's been translated into a state law draft that is now being listened to and debated and will be voted on by the union. So we're following the same thing here.
If you're reelected, how much of that will be a part of your next 4 years? Maybe trying to make that happen.
I've said all along, I would approach it very slowly. And I envisioned that I would put together a series of different task forces represented by citizens of all walks of life. Not only the issue on the high velocity weapons, the military style weapons, and the high capacity magazines, but I would do this and a host of other things that are facing the city, such as transportation funding. And we still have some issues to deal with as we look at joblessness and other aspects of our city.
You talked about the recruiting class. This question kind of goes towards that. Does Omaha have enough police on the streets for a community of this size? If not, where does Omaha need more officers?
Well, let's look at it this way. I know we as a city and most cities have been using national guidelines to say one officer for every 1,000 citizens or whatever. But all cities are different, and all cities have different priorities. I look at it very differently. I look at it on what do we need to make sure that we have a first-class fire department and police department as our first responders. And we need to fit what we're doing with a multiplicity of solutions to come into play to solve a problem. Our problem with crime, we're already doing some things that's very important to getting our arms around this. The community police establishing 41 neighborhood associations on the north side. Now we have 4 or 5 that are also going the next step to form citizen patrols, unheard of on the north side. The truancy battle, making sure we keep kids in school. Summer youth employment. I firmly believe that we need to get the poverty under control, and to get the poverty reduced, we have to have jobs, and the jobs have to be in industry and warehousing. Thus, a proposal to put the industry and warehousing in North Omaha to put the preponderance of the unemployed to work. All those things begin to add up, but we're doing some more things on the law enforcement side. This gun spotter approach is so important to us, using technology to triangulate when gunshots are heard. It works. But we're also restructuring the gang units. So now we've had an additional specialist added in on South Oak. We're now adding additional manpower, womanpower to broaden out. We'll be able to cover 7 days a week with our north and south integrated into one concept and one system. We'll continue to do these things on the law enforcement side, but we'll do a lot more on the prevention side. And that gets us back into jobs, 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 and more jobs.
But do we need more officers on the street, in your opinion? Do we have enough right now?
I think we have enough to do the program we're doing right now, but we'll make those adjustments. If we need a different unit or to add some things, we will make those decisions based upon what is the mission, that is to tackle the problem, and within the resources that we have. We have something new this spring that you and the media have not even covered at all. And that's the fact that we're going to have more cybercrime. We're going to take a fresh look at that, and the chief is already doing that at my direction, to see what resources we need in the computer age that deal with, in essence, a white-collar crime that's now throughout our whole system dealing with computers and all this technology.
That's your question about TD Ameritrade and Mecca. You know, Mecca manages the entertainment venues for the city of Omaha. TD Ameritrade cost $128 million. They only have 2 permanent tenants right now. Creighton in the College World Series. Big Sky didn't necessarily work out. Nighthawks failed. Civic and Auditorium and Music Hall will be gone soon. Ralston has a new 4,000-seat arena. UNO's planning a new arena. What can you do as mayor, and I guess help Mecca, to be able to get more permanent tenants in, to get more people into CenturyLink, more conventions, just more money coming in?
I see 2 keys. Number 1, the appointments to the Mecca board should be business people with high-quality credentials that understand the merchandising that goes on when you're dealing with sports or with shows, music, or other things associated with those 2 wonderful facilities. So that's my plan, is to make sure that we have strong people in those board positions, and that's essential. The second thing is, I think we have to restructure our Omaha Convention and Visitor Bureau to focus it more into a nonprofit corporation that would have a similar type structure to Mecca. Again, people from business that relate to tourism. We need to drive up the tourism in the city by, in my opinion, about 25%.
By marketing?
By marketing, but we've got to make sure we are bringing in the tourists to feed not only Mecca and the ball stadium, but we've got to feed our restaurant industry and our hotel industry, and also the venues that are here for entertainment and pleasure. That's our Durham Western Heritage Museum, that's the Children's Museum, the zoo, the Jocelyn. All of those need a new infusion of tourism. And it all ties together with rethinking how we're running and financing the Convention and Visitor Bureau.
But does it hurt the fact that we have a decent tax burden on those folks wanting to go to the restaurants and going to hotels? And or can we compete in Omaha with the surrounding area?
Well, of course we can compete. And we compete by putting money into the investment side. And mainly, we've already proven that a mammoth advertising program for Omaha and Kansas City brought a 17% growth in tourism from Kansas City alone. In
Over how long?
We did that the first year I was in office. So we know it works. So now you're talking to somebody, not only am I an engineer, but I am also someone that was involved in the sales and the marketing and capturing new markets for engineering and architecture. So the principles are the same that we use there that we need to be using in selling our city for the facilities at Mecca it runs, as well as the other things I mentioned. Our restaurants, our hotels, and our entertainment venues.
What are some of the things you'd like to see? And you talked about this before, but what are some of the things you'd like to see in TD Ameritrade?
Well, I've talked about a number of things.
I said soccer, I know, and
soccer,
independent baseball.
We've talked about having this baseball between, say, the all-star teams of Japan and the United States. We've talked about the Dominican Republic, Cuba. There are a host of other things that we could do in the sports world, as well as rethinking what we did on Red Sky. Red Sky had a great potential. Okay, something didn't work. Let's figure out what that is, because it's still got great opportunities for music venues at TD Ameritrade.
I help you figure that out with the artists. I mean, really, people didn't like the artists, right?
Yeah.
So how do you bring in, if you do something like that, how do you put people in a position you know who to bring in? I mean, that seems a little...
Well, what's my board appointments today with Mecca? Who did I put on there? John Munn, who took a company from scratch, made it one of the biggest management investment companies of properties and real estate in this city. And then Willie Thiessen, who took a little pizza shop from obscurity into a worldwide restaurant organization and franchise. So those two people have great creativity, and we need others like them to serve on the Mecca.
When you look at what TD Ameritrade has done and what CenturyLink has done since they've both been built, do you feel that we have got positive benefits from them?
Oh, absolutely. As I said at the time, we can't afford them, but we can't afford not to have them. And so they're here. Now we have to figure out how to make them cash flow and cash flow very well. The debt has been solved on both of them. My first year in office, that was one of the problems we had. We had a 35-year mortgage and only 2 years worth of dollars to pay for that debt. So now that's been fixed. We now have a plan in place to take care of the principal and interest, as we should have done from day one. And it will work for the entire 35 year of the mortgage. The plan for TD Ameritrade is one of the things I screamed and hollered on. We're not going to have the taxpayers be the holder of the debt for the last resort. So we have a system that works that keeps any problems with the debt service on TD Ameritrade. It does not go to the taxpayers. It goes to the College World Series, Inc., and they have to figure out how to handle the debt. Well, guess what? We are making money off the ball stadium with the CS College World Series, and it works. It's a great, great asset, and I don't see any problems occurring whatsoever with the debt service on that also.
We'll take a break. We're going to continue our discussion. We have to wrap up part one of our discussion with Omaha Mayor Jim Suttle. Mayor Suttle will stay with us, and we'll bring you part two next week. We want to thank Mayor Jim Suttle for being with us today. To watch the discussion with Mayor Suttle on your computer or mobile device, just log on to our website at www.ne-viewpoint.org and watch the podcast of this discussion and all the discussions and debates. Remember, general election is Tuesday, May 14th. For more information on the candidates and where and how you can vote, visit Douglas County Election Commissioner's website at votedouglascounty.com.
The Boys and Girls Club of the Midlands
have been helping kids like me.
Like me.
Like us. For just $30 a year, I can get
a healthy meal,
Homework help. Exercise.
a safe place to stay after school, everything. At one of our 8 clubs.
My name is Janelle.
And I am the Boys and Girls Club.
The Boys and Girls Club.
We are the Boys and Girls Club.
Like us on Facebook at BGC Midlands. Cox will donate $1 to the Boys and Girls Club.
My son, the Cub Scout, helped raise money to make camping safer.
My son, the Cub Scout, stood up to the school bully. My son, the Cub Scout, volunteers at the homeless shelter.
My sons, the Boy Scouts, helped clean up after the devastating flood.
My son, the Eagle Scout, helped save a man's life.
My sons, the Eagle Scouts, are defending our nation.
My son, the Eagle Scout, became a doctor,
Civil engineer,
police chief,
wonderful husband and father,
state senator,
JoinScouting2012.org.
For 45 years, Family Housing Advisory Services has been improving quality of life by helping people achieve housing and financial stability. FAS prevents homelessness, educates homeowners, provides foreclosure prevention options, develops financially wise consumers, offers affordable mortgage lending options, eliminates housing discrimination, and reduces poverty. Programs and services include homebuyer education, tenant services, financial management, tax assistance, homeowner finance, and fair housing. For more information, call 402-934-7921.